I'm Samar, a team member at the Legal Amity. In today's Insider Info series, we'll be joined by Hakeem Din, a trainee at Capital Law based in Cardiff. So, let's get into the video.
Like you said, I'm a trainee solicitor at Capital Law, which is a law firm based in Cardiff, but also with offices in London. I am currently a second seat trainee, currently in my corporate and commercial seat. The first seat I undertook was in the construction, energy and projects team. Both seats have been fantastic, by the way. Really enjoyed both my training contracts so far. And then just a little bit generally about me. I studied law undergraduate at the University of Liverpool. And I then did the LPC combined with a master's at BPP in Leeds. That was at the point I was applying for training contract positions and so on. And the following year, I paralegaled in-house at an American pharmaceutical company. And then the following year, I started my training contract at Capital.
With why you decided to pursue a career and start your training contract at a regional law firm in comparison to a city law firm.
Yeah, no, of course. And it's a question I do get asked quite a bit, to be fair. And for me, it was very much a personal decision because the type of person that I am, I wanted to go to a firm where I knew that the quality of training for a young lawyer was really tailored and specified to allow you to develop. And I felt that I would definitely get that more at a regional law practice than I would at a city firm. And that's a mix of reasons. The first one probably being that they generally have a smaller trainee intake. So instead of being in a trainee intake of maybe 30 or 40, as a lot of the larger London law firms do, I'd be in a trainee intake of maybe 4 or 5, which for me, I know in particular in London, a lot of trainees are put in the same team, which is completely fine. You learn that way. But for me, I thought if I'm in a team with maybe one other trainee, you get to experience a lot more. You get a lot more exposure, particularly as well, to different pieces of work if you're one of the only trainees in the team, because people are really keen for you to get involved. Whereas I feel like if you're in a larger team, the work is obviously split out a lot more. Admittedly, there is a lot more work, but I thought for me, having that maybe more personal one-to-one type of exposure within the firm and within the team is very suited to me as a person, because that's the way I wanted to learn. And the other reason was generally I feel like from my own experiences through university school and the LPC, and even during my first year during work, I felt that I worked better and preferred being in smaller units rather than being a part of a team of 100 or so people, as is the case in London firms. And I thought that at the time I was applying for my training contracts, that wasn't appealing to me. I thought the one thing that I wanted to focus on was my development as a junior lawyer. And I thought the best way for me to get that at this early stage in my career was to do that at a regional law firm.
What can candidates do to make themselves stand out when they're actually applying for training contracts?
So another really good question and a really valid question for people, particularly at the beginning of their training contract application cycles, or if you're just going into the upcoming cycle now towards Christmas. I think the one thing that I would definitely tell people, particularly if they're not familiar with the process so far, is research your firm. That is so, so important. So I've mentioned this on talks before that when you're going about applying for your training contracts, you should adopt a middle ground approach. So you can have the all eggs in one basket approach, which is where you apply to maybe 2 or 3 firms, or you have the scattergun approach where you apply to about 20 different firms. But I personally think that the middle ground here is better, because it is feasible and available for you to research maybe 6 or 7 firms in good detail and provide really solid applications. If you go for the eggs in one basket approach, you only apply for 3. In the worst case event, you get a rejection of all 3, and that is an application cycle wasted. Whereas if you apply for 20, you're only going to be producing basically the same copied and pasted CV or personal statement, whatever it might be, and firms simply see through that. So that I think the scattergun approach is a really risky process. But if you go for this middle ground of doing your research into the firm, whether that's looking at its website, looking at its LinkedIn pages, connecting with junior lawyers at events, or just even reaching out on social media platforms like Twitter and LinkedIn is really good. And junior lawyers in particular always want to want to be seen as being open, and they want to communicate with you guys that want to come into the industry. So researching the firm, whatever that might be, and this is part of this magical commercial awareness that everybody goes on about. Commercial awareness is simply knowing about what's going on in the legal industry. And one of the best ways to do that is to research your firm and see the type of work that they're doing. And with the likes of LinkedIn, websites, the internet in general, there is so much out there for you guys to research and to put in.
What advice would you give to an aspiring solicitor currently looking for a paralegal experience?
Important. And I think as junior lawyers come into the industry, you don't have a lot of experience. Don't worry about it. You're not expected to have a lot. What they are looking for, though, is ambition and drive. And I think in a junior lawyer, or if it's a barrister or a solicitor, or whatever it is, as you're starting in the legal industry, your ambition, your drive, your optimism is more valuable than your experience. And I generally think 90% of firms know that, because a lot of you are coming straight out of university, straight out of the OPC, so you don't have the experience. It's simply not there. But what you don't have for in experience, you will simply make up for in that ambition, in that drive. And I think that is such an important thing as you guys start now applying for your paralegal positions, your training contract positions, or even your pupillage positions. Don't worry about your lack of experience. Everybody that's applying is probably in the same boat as you. Maybe not the people that have been through the application cycle a few times, but particularly those that are coming straight out of university, you are all in the same boat. So don't think just because your mate has got a vacation scheme at a large city law firm, or has done an internship, in line with that you're at any form of disadvantage. I think if you've got the ambition and the drive and the will to want to be there, then you can do it. And another thing that I think is definitely worth considering, and particularly now that I've spoken with a lot of junior lawyers that are sort of like coming through straight out of university in the LPC, is a lot of them have great ideas for where they want to take their legal journey. And I think that's great. It's great to have in the back of your mind, but don't box yourself in to certain niches too early on. So say, for example, and I'm just picking on one here out of the air, sport is a really niche subject in law. And I think that it's great to have that in the back of your mind, but a lot of law firms are not in the position to basically be offering a paralegal position or a training contract position just in sport law. Straight off with a training contract, you need to experience certain different areas of law. So if you're boxing yourself off too early, it is a little bit of a flag in the mind of a recruiter thinking, this person is a really good sports lawyer, or will be a really good sports lawyer, and they're really interested in it. Unfortunately, though, we only have commercial positions. But if you think about it, sports law, in reality, a lot of it is commercial contracts, commercial disputes, dispute resolution. So if you think a little bit outside the box and thinking, okay, I've got an interest in sports law, but I can apply this skill set across the board to commercial, automatically now you've started to think about becoming a commercial lawyer. So yeah, my point is basically, don't box yourself in and be open to all opportunities.
Thank you so much for it.
No, you're all very welcome. I'm really glad that there are services or people like yourselves out there, like the Legal Alma team, that are performing these types of services for junior lawyers. Because when I was coming up through the ranks, as they say, through university, there weren't as many people out there, to be completely honest with you, providing these types of services for junior lawyers across the board to say, these are the types of things that you should be looking for. It was sort of just for us to go out on our own initiative and do. But no, I think what you guys are doing and other platforms, particularly what I see on LinkedIn, is really great. And I think the future of junior lawyers coming through these systems is really bright.